In a picturesque little village, nestled between green hills and sparkling rivers, lived a young woman named Élodie. She was known for her beauty and kindness, but also for her dreamy spirit. Élodie spent her days helping her father, the village blacksmith, while marveling at the stories of love and adventure she read in the books found in her grandfather's dusty library. One day, while walking near the river, Élodie spotted a young man with dark hair and sparkling eyes drawing. Intrigued, she approached and discovered that he was Gabriel, the son of a passing merchant. Gabriel was a talented artist traveling from village to village to capture the beauty of the landscapes and people he encountered. Their first conversation was a tentative exchange, but a spark formed between them, and they spent the rest of the afternoon discussing their dreams. In the following days, Élodie and Gabriel often found themselves near the river, sharing laughter and stories. Élodie marveled at Gabriel's sketches, while he was fascinated by her passion for life. Over time, their friendship blossomed into a deep and sincere love. They promised never to be apart, dreaming of a future where they could travel together, explore the world, and share their art. However, their happiness was threatened by the arrival of Count Armand, a powerful nobleman who owned land in the surrounding area. Armand had political ambitions and sought to establish alliances through marriage. When he saw Élodie, he was immediately charmed by her beauty. He decided that she would be the woman he would marry, no matter the cost. One evening, while Élodie and Gabriel were walking hand in hand, they spotted Count Armand talking with Élodie's father. The Count's gaze was insistent, and Élodie felt a shiver of worry run down her spine. Gabriel, aware of the threat to their love, tried to reassure Élodie, but deep down, he was worried. He knew that Count Armand was a ruthless man, capable of anything to get what he wanted. As the weeks passed, the pressure on Élodie increased. Count Armand's visits increased, making increasingly insistent advances. He offered her father lavish gifts, skillfully playing the situation to gain his favor. Élodie, devastated by this attention, felt trapped. She loved Gabriel, but she knew her father would be unable to resist the Count's promises of wealth and power. One day, Élodie decided to take matters into her own hands. She invited Gabriel to meet by the river to discuss their future. "We must run away," she declared passionately. "I cannot marry a man I don't love. I would rather live free with you than be trapped in a loveless marriage." Gabriel, though reluctant to leave his life and his village, understood the strength of her desire. They began to formulate a plan. They would meet at nightfall, and together they would would leave the village for a place where they could live out their love without fear. However, their plan was discovered by Count Armand. One of his men, a traitor within the village, had overheard Élodie and Gabriel discussing their escape. The furious Count decided to act quickly. He ordered his men to monitor Élodie's every move, ready to do anything to prevent her from escaping. The night of their escape, Élodie waited anxiously by the river, her heart pounding. Gabriel was due to arrive at any moment. But as she scanned the horizon, she heard footsteps behind her. Panicked, Élodie turned to flee, but the Count's men grabbed her. Gabriel, who was running up, saw the scene unfolding and rushed to save her. A fight then broke out between Gabriel and the Count's men. Horrified, Élodie shouted at Gabriel to flee, but he refused, determined to defend her. In the confusion, Gabriel managed to fight back and free Élodie, but they were quickly surrounded. The Count, furious, threatened them. "You will regret opposing me. Élodie, you belong to me now." Élodie, with a courage that surprised even Gabriel, stepped forward and told him, "I do not belong to you. My heart belongs to Gabriel, and nothing and no one can separate me from him." The Count, enraged, ordered his men to capture Gabriel. In a fit of despair, Élodie threw herself in front of Gabriel, shielding him from the threat. "If you touch him, you'll have to run over me," she shouted. The Count, surprised by her determination, hesitated for a moment. Taking advantage of this distraction, Gabriel, with incredible strength, managed to free himself and drag Élodie with him. They ran through the woods, seeking refuge in a place where the Count could not reach them. Their hearts were pounding, but the adrenaline of escape gave them the strength to continue. As they walked deeper into the forest, they discovered an old, abandoned cabin. Exhausted, they took refuge inside, hoping the Count wouldn't follow them. Inside, they found themselves face to face, breathless, their eyes shining with determination. "We must stick together," said Gabriel, taking Élodie's hand. "Together, we can overcome this." Élodie nodded, but she knew that Count Armand's threat was far from over. They spent the night in the cabin, telling stories, sharing their hopes and fears. Their fears turned into promises of eternal love, and they vowed to fight for their happiness. At dawn, they decided it was time to leave the forest and find a way to protect themselves from the Count. They heard footsteps in the distance, voices getting closer. "They're here," Élodie whispered, her heart pounding. Gabriel, with newfound determination, told her, "We must hide." They found a place behind some thick bushes and hid, waiting for the danger to pass. Their hearts pounded as they heard the Count's men passing by, desperately searching for their whereabouts. Anxious, Élodie turned to Gabriel. "What will we do if we are discovered?" "I will do everything to protect you," he replied, with a strength that reassured her. "We must go to the village and ask for help. I have friends who could support us." Once the coast was clear, they slipped out of their hiding place and headed towards the village. The path seemed endless, but their love gave them the strength to continue. When they reached the central square, they discovered that rumors were circulating about Count Armand and his intentions. The worried villagers had gathered. Élodie and Gabriel approached the group, and Gabriel spoke. "Friends, we must unite against the Count. He wants to force Élodie to marry a man she doesn't love. We cannot let this happen." The villagers, moved by their determination, began to whisper words of solidarity. However, among them was an old rival of Gabriel's, a young man named Philippe, who had always had his sights set on Élodie. Jealous of the love they shared, he stepped forward. "What can you do against the Count? He is powerful and has infinite resources. You are only children." Élodie, hurt by his words, retorted, "Perhaps, but our love is stronger than his wealth. We will not back down." The villagers, inspired by Élodie and Gabriel's bravery, began to rise up, promising to support the couple in their fight. The next day, a meeting was held in the village hall. The villagers gathered there, determined to form a united front against the Count. Élodie and Gabriel spoke, explaining their situation and calling for unity. With the villagers' support, they decided to organize a peaceful demonstration to make their voices heard. On the day of the demonstration, the village was in turmoil. The residents, dressed in white, carried banners with messages of love and freedom. Élodie and Gabriel, hand in hand, marched at the head, determined to show the Count that they would not be intimidated. They headed towards the Count's castle, where he was discussing his affairs. Upon arriving, they encountered the Count's guards, who tried to push them back. But the villagers, united and determined, refused to back down. Élodie courageously stepped forward and asked to speak to the Count. "We don't want violence, but we do want our love to be respected." The Count, surprised by this audacity, left his castle. "What are you doing here, villagers? You have no idea how mad you are for committing." Élodie, undaunted, replied, "We have the right to choose our destiny. I will not be your wife. My heart belongs to Gabriel." Furious, the Count advanced to threaten her, but the villagers formed a protective barrier around Élodie and Gabriel. "You will not touch her," declared a man from the village. The Count, realizing the situation was getting out of hand, tried to remain calm. "Very well, I will let you go, but I will never forget this rebellion." With a final defiant look, Élodie and Gabriel left the castle, buoyed by the villagers' cries of solidarity. Although the Count's threat was not over, they knew they had won an important battle. Their love had inspired the village, and together they could overcome any obstacle. In the following days, word of their courage spread throughout the region. Other villages began to rally to their cause, and soon a true alliance against Count Armand was formed. With this support, Élodie and Gabriel continued to fight for their love and the freedom to choose their own destiny. Tensions mounted as the increasingly angry Count sought to regain control. He sent henchmen to monitor the village, hoping to break the will of the inhabitants. But determined, Élodie and Gabriel did not waver. They continued to meet with the villagers, holding meetings and sharing their ideas. One evening, as they gathered by the river, Gabriel took Élodie by the hand. "No matter what happens, I love you, and I'm ready to do anything to protect us." A moved Élodie replied, "We've already been through so much. Together we will overcome anything." Their love was stronger than ever, but they knew the Count would not give up easily. A plan was put into place to confront Count Armand once again. They decided to invite him to a meeting, hoping that the discussion could resolve the conflict without bloodshed. Élodie, with quiet strength, volunteered to represent the village. On the day of the meeting, the Count, arrogant as ever, arrived at the village. Élodie, surrounded by the villagers, stepped forward to greet him. "We don't want conflict," she began. "We simply want you to respect our right to love and freedom." The Count, amused by her bravery, retorted, "Do you really think you can defy me? I have the power to destroy your village in an instant." Élodie, however, did not back down. "Perhaps, but we have something you will never have. United, we are stronger." The Count, stung, flew into a rage. "If you don't submit, I will make your life hell." Élodie, determined, did not waver. "We will never submit. Your power cannot break our love." At that moment, a villager stepped forward and declared, "We are ready to fight for our freedom." The other villagers, upon hearing these words, united. The Count, realizing that the situation was getting out of his control, flew into a rage. "You'll regret this," he shouted as he withdrew, leaving a trail of threats behind him. Days passed, and tensions intensified. The villagers prepared for the possibility of an attack by the Count. Élodie and Gabriel, although anxious, remained determined to protect their love and their village. They organized patrols, ensuring that no one was taken by surprise. Finally, the day of the confrontation arrived. Count Armand, with his men, headed towards the village, ready to regain control. Élodie and Gabriel, surrounded by their friends, prepared to defend their home. Their hearts beat as one as they stood together, ready to face the storm. The battle was fierce. The villagers, united and determined, fought courageously. Élodie and Gabriel fought side by side, knowing their love was at stake. Amid the chaos, they found themselves at the mercy of the Count, who tried to separate them, but in a burst of bravery, Gabriel stepped between Élodie and the Count. "If you want to touch her, you'll have to run over me," he cried, challenging the Count. Élodie, filled with admiration, stood by his side, ready to do anything to defend their love. In a final stand, the villagers' determination finally won out. The Count, realizing he could not break their unity, decided to retreat. He vowed to return, but for now, he had lost. The villagers, exhausted but victorious, celebrated their freedom. Élodie and Gabriel, in the midst of the party, found themselves in each other's arms. Their love had triumphed, and they knew that together they could overcome any obstacle. Over time, the village found peace again. Élodie and Gabriel, united by their ordeal, continued to build their lives together. They married in a small ceremony, surrounded by their friends and family. Their love had become legendary, inspiring others to believe in the power of love and solidarity. In the years that followed, Élodie and Gabriel became respected figures in the village. They encouraged art and creativity, opening a workshop where they taught young people to express their passion. Their love story, marked by hardships, became a symbol of hope and resilience. Thus, in the heart of this small village, Élodie and Gabriel lived a life filled with happiness, proving that even in the face of betrayal and threats, true love could triumph over all. They continued to dream together, hand in hand, building a bright future where love and freedom reigned supreme.